Hello there, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Sharon Redinger. I'm the National Sales Director here at Babylon Micro Farms, and I have some celebrities that I'm going to be joined with this afternoon. So I will start with some introductions. Brian Knutson, I'll let you introduce yourself first, and then over to Chef Nick Lachman.
Yeah, hi. My name is Brian Knutson. I am the Director of Food and Nutrition for what is Team USA, or the USOPC, which is the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee. And I'm based out of Colorado Springs.
Hi, my name is Nick Lachman. I'm the executive chef here over at the training center. Responsible for the writing the menus and using the products to feed all the athletes. And again, same department, so both in Colorado Springs.
Wonderful. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time today. We have quite a few questions that I know our guests and attendees are excited to learn more about. But Brian and Chef, and whoever wants to kind of jump in on some of these questions, but how has having a gallery microfarm on site changed the way you approach, and maybe Chef, this is more for you, the way you approach menu planning for athletes?
It does quite a bit actually, because it gives us the opportunity to serve very fresh ingredients to the athlete. It literally comes from the farm, gets processed in our kitchen, and then it goes right into our salad bar. As far as the microgreens go, they get processed right when they're ready to go, and we mix them into our smoothie station because they're very nutrient dense, very fresh, and actually extremely delicious ingredients.
Well, on a personal note, so what are some of your favorite varieties that you've dabbled in?
Honestly, the machines do the greatest with red sorrel. Like, it makes the most beautiful red sorrel I've ever seen. It's just bright, vibrant, and the flavor is just extremely intense.
Wonderful. And Brian, do you have any select produce varieties that are your faves?
My favorites. Let's see. While we were away in Paris over the summer, we actually we did the flowers, so it was kind of nice just to add a little bit of different color and pop into the farms. But also the pea tendrils. So we'll do the pea microgreens, which athletes, it's a one of their favorites that they like to use. But for me, it's that spicy microgreen mix. You just get all sorts of flavors. It's got everything you've ever wanted in there.
And so you mentioned some athletes. So what are some other favorites from the athletes on site?
I mean, like Nick said, we take a lot of the greens and we just go right into our salad bar. And our Yep, there's the sweet picture. Always grows nice and green. So and then also off of our grill, where we make all of if an athlete's getting a sandwich or anything, it's it goes right from some of the green and red butterheads or some of the other ones that they like to use and like to eat.
Well, and here's a question for both of you, but it sounds like hyper local, farm to table. I mean, how important is ultra fresh produce to the athletes and to, helping with their wellness journeys?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, so we have three farms. So we started with one, and that's probably a whole nother story to tell you how we got into the micro farms.
You should
But
tell them about the purchase of the second.
yeah. So what we ended up doing is, we started with one that was kind of behind the front desk. And I really wanted to make a statement to show the athletes, when they're coming into the dining hall and visiting us, to really see that, we care about their nutrition, right? We've got dietitians on staff. We invest heavily in a lot of software for analysis. Nick and his team, they work very hard on making recipes and making sure that athletes know everything that they're putting into their bodies. So for them, it's just been so important for me, having the farms and pushing it in. So like there's Christian, who's one of our goal ball Paralympic athletes, actually. He's one of our residents here, and he spent the summer in Paris together during the Paralympics. And it's something where we try to educate them to, especially on the microgreens, to add something in. A lot of times athletes are just making a smoothie with milk, ice, some fruit, and some milk. Like let's start adding in, some both flavors and adding in some other nutrients.
Wonderful. Well, that's really helpful. And then, Chef, a question for you, in regards to having a farm there. I mean, has that really helped with the ability for, you know, having a higher demand for quality of produce, presentation of the dishes? Has it kind of helped elevate that?
Absolutely. Like the best part about it, as you saw in the photos of all the farms, the big leafy greens, and then like you get some lovely like red butterhead and Lola Rosa, and it just really makes the salad bar like crazy delicious and fresh. And it's kind of nice because we have a unique setup in our facility, and it just adds all the different colors and the vibrance and the flavor. The athletes know instantly when we put the fresh lettuce into the salad bar. They're like, "Oh, this came out of the farm!" Like they get pretty excited about it.
What's some other feedback that some of the athletes have shared with you?
Honestly, the biggest feedback factor that they give me about them, like especially the micros on the smoothie station, is they just love, like, they never thought putting micro basil in their smoothie was going to make it taste that much better. But now they got this delicious raspberry basil flavored smoothie, and it's just super nutrient dense, and they love that.
And so something I think I want to add to that, when the athletes, when they're kind of giving feedback, a lot of our athletes, obviously they travel around the world, and they're always traveling. So, health and safety is always very important for them. So when they are able to, see that their lettuce is going, I mean, when we literally say it's 24 feet from the farm, which then goes into our salad bar. So, your lettuce is traveling 24 feet. And for them, just knowing that it's, yeah, how many times a year do you see a romaine lettuce, E. coli outbreak, and honestly, that's something that's huge for them, to know that, they're getting some sort of a good quality, safe ingredient.
Wonderful. Well, that's fantastic to hear. One question I'd love to be a little bit nosy on. Obviously, you have the app, the Babylon software that's controlling the farm. You know, what was your help and experience been like in working with our team?
Yeah, it's um Karen helps us a lot.
A lot.
A lot. It's always good just to be able, to just be able to pick up the phone or text, when we, have had any, an issue in the past, it was, immediate. It was, yep, we have a tech on a plane, they'll be there right in the morning. And that's something that with, let's just say, one of the other ones, one of the larger boxes that I looked at, like, I wasn't going to get that. And something for me is, we focus all of our labor and time on, taking care of the athletes, and just to be able to have, like you said, like the app, a subscription that just takes all the guesswork out of it. It's helped me a ton. Just
Good.
to,
Literally don't have to think about it. We just look at our phones and it says, "Okay, time to harvest."
Well, then I'd love to segue into another nosy question. So, you were sharing, obviously, starting with one, getting to two, three. Do you want to share some experience from that side in regards to why?
I mean, why, like I kind of mentioned at the beginning, is, it's really, it shows, it does, of course it feeds us, right?
Right.
But it does send that message right away. And the number of international, athletes that we have that come through here, just dignitaries and everyone else, that's always like the first thing, like, oh, and honestly, we made a conscious decision to lose seating in the dining room, to be able to put those in. And um, you know, going from one to two and three, we were just like ready. We had, it was kind of the end of the year, and Nick and I were trying to go through of equipment of, what else do we need this year. And I think it was less than 30 days from when we said, I want two more. They
It's
were
18
sitting.
days.
How many?
18.
18 days. Okay, yeah, it was 18. And it was like, boom, sitting on our back dock, there ready to go. And of course, you made it all nice and branded for us, so it was, it was great.
Well, we have to say we love your farms, and you both have been such a pleasure to work with, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at NRA. But one other little question for you. So, Chef Nick, this may be more for you, but have you ever, obviously you have an amazing seasoned culinary background, but have you tried any new crops that you typically wouldn't introduce on menus before because of the units?
I don't think we stick to a pretty standard variety right now, and
Okay.
I mean, the red sorrel, again, I can't speak highly enough about that stuff. When we got back from Paris this year, that was kind of one of the new crops we tried out, and it's it adds such a visual effect that makes the farms look great, and it makes the salad bar look great, and it just tastes amazing. So it's, you can't beat ingredients that are that fresh. Like, the flavor does not deteriorate. It's just you can taste the freshness.
So I believe you all have a test kitchen that, do cooking classes. Is that correct? Do you incorporate the farm with that as well with the athletes?
Actually, funny enough, I did so for our athletes, we do March Madness every year, and they do brackets. And one of the fun prizes they get is I get to go do a 4-course mocktail paired dinner for the winners in the test kitchen, and we set it up like a really fancy fine dining experience. And the micros are what I like to use for garnishes and ingredients in this. Like, in the salad was pretty much constructed solely from the lettuce out of the box.
Oh, that is wonderful. Well, feel free to share more of those nuggets with us.
Yeah.
But so one question and this is for both of you, but so what advice would you give to other chefs or organizations who are considering, partnering with Babylon to, enhance their food service operation?
I mean, I would say scroll through your Instagram page. That's kind of a good start.
Yeah.
Just because it does it, I like to always look and get ideas. And you always see like some of the other things that are always coming. But I think as someone is getting ready or thinking about the farms, look at what menus and really what do you want them for. I said at one point, like I'd love to have even more farms everywhere, and really just send produce home with athletes and staff. But I think just as they think about it, just knowing that it's already done. Once again, like it's just so easy. My wife is actually a farmer. For UCCS, and she has a farm and she grows all the same lettuces and things. And I'm like, all the time, I'm like, well, mine comes to me in a box and it's ready to go. You just plug it in, follow the app. I don't have to have any other knowledge. So it's to me, it's like it's a lot of fun. And we've had a couple times also where when you're looking for activities, we've had some athletes. I give them the list and I say, do you want anything? Do you want to try anything else on there? We've had a couple athletes that have helped with some of the harvest weeks, and it's just it gets them something else to do, and they enjoy it.
Also, on that side, I would say one of the cool things that my entire team experiences is it's a fun goal to have, to learn how to use the farms throughout all of my culinary team. So every other week we got someone saying, "Hey, I want to do the harvest this week," and really learn how all the boxes work. And it's kind of interesting how Babylon does it, but like, there's a rating system. With the more harvests and the more farming you do, you kind of tier up a level or two. And it kind of became competitive for some of my cooks to see who could get to the higher levels faster. So it's a good team building and team bonding thing as well.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time this afternoon. I think we had a couple questions roll in, Chris.
We do. The first one is, what's maintenance like?
Which would
So this one,
yeah, I mean, to me, what Nick was kind of mentioning is we've got so many people trained. So per week, if we actually break down our maintenance, I'm probably spending around 30 minutes a week. Where we're, when we harvest, we pull everything out. Everything's dishwash safe. So we're able to just run them right through our same dishwasher we put all of our pots and pans through. And then other maintenance is just always checking the app. Like I've always enjoyed that with Babylon and Karen, they're always listening. So when we say, oh, we wish we could see our nutrient levels, we wish we could see the pH feed and everything, and like all of a sudden, boom, it's in the app. So now we're able to actually look at it, and it tells you what to do. But yeah, I don't really spend much time each week actually having to work on maintenance. It's I probably spend more time in the week shining up the glass to make sure it looks gorgeous. Yeah, that's kind of my answer for maintenance.
it's Brian's shiny little Ferrari that he keeps in his front yard to show off.
Yeah.
He hears someone ask a question from his office, like just to one of our front desk people, and he'd sprint out trying to be the one to sit there and give the speech of what the micro farms are all about.
Wonderful. Well, hey, when you're at NRA, you can do the same thing as you did last year. So
Done.
yeah, thank you both again for being such big cheerleaders for our team. We truly appreciate your support, and you're just amazing to work with.
Yeah, thanks.
Well,
Yeah, of course.
speaking of teams and athletes, somebody asked, is there a particular athlete or a particular team that has just really gravitated towards these? Just fell in love with hydroponics, or just is always asking about it? Is there anything that is just really jazzed about it?
I can think of one for sure.
Oh, you.
Diamond always.
Okay.
She's
Wrestler?
super excited about it because she loves to be able to pick it out, like which greens we get, and then watch it get harvest. She's one of our wrestlers.
Yeah, we run through around 8,000 athletes a year through our training center here in Colorado Springs, and it's everyone from kids to from the development levels all the way up to elite athletes and Olympic teams. And yeah, everybody comes in and they love it. It's always fun.
I think you answered this earlier, but they said, do you notice a difference in flavor?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's say, yeah. Nick, you want to talk about it? Go for it.
I mean, the first time we harvested the greens, like Brian and I were just sitting there picking, just like snapping leaves off and putting it in our mouth. And before we knew it, like you'd eat a whole head of like green butterhead. And you're like, why is this just better than like what you can get at the grocery store or like what I can purchase from my vendors? It's because it's just that fresh. It's so good.
Well, I would say with the micro basil, I'll admit it. I'll let the micro basil go about a week longer than than it tells you to, because the app tells you when to harvest it. But it is, if you love basil, it just fills the air. It's just you almost walk away after harvesting and like all you smell is basil on your clothes. And it's so strong that a little bit goes a long ways. And it's just I love it.
One more question. There's a couple of questions, but I think Sharon's going to answer her in her section. The last one is, what other meals do you use the greens in besides salads?
Smoothie stations, salads. I mean, we use them as garnishes. It's not necessarily something we would put into the hot food. But we technically, actually, no, that's a lie. That is a complete lie.
The bok
We got
choy?
we got bok choy and we did bok choy. What we do every week is called Pad Thai Tuesday. One of our cooks has been with the Olympic team for 32 years, and she introduced that lovely dish, and everybody that comes through just raves about it. It's like the thing they look forward to. So we did bok choy, like a sesame bok choy, one week, and it was absolutely phenomenal.
That's all the questions I think for this section. So we'll just finish up with the Sharon and.
Perfect. Well, gentlemen, thank you again for taking the time today. You're welcome to stay on if you'd like to. I'm just going to share a little bit more about Babylon and kind of dive on in.
Cool. Appreciate the time. And if you guys see us or anybody sees us at NRA show, ask us all the questions. We'll tell you everything.
Well, we are looking forward to seeing you both in just a couple weeks. So
cool. All right. Thank you.
All right.
All right,
Thank you
thank you.
both.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you again for taking the time to learn more about Babylon Microfarms. As you heard from Chef Nick and Brian, it has been such an exciting partnership and journey with their team. Truly appreciate their support. So what you see right here is our stunning indoor hydroponic farms. And so as they mentioned, our goal is to really kind of take the guesswork out of growing. So with our technology, essentially we control the environment. So as you can see in this video to my right, this will show you our stunning indoor hydroponic farm. So with our technology, we control the environment. There's literally no seasonality whatsoever to our farm. Basically, we provide an expansive menu that you and your colleagues get to select from. From there, the app takes over. It tells your team when to transplant, harvest, do some light cleaning, completely taking guesswork out of the equation. One thing just to highlight on the food safety side, we've partnered with some other amazing organizations like the Mayo Clinic, Siskin Healthcare, and especially in the healthcare system, food safety is a top priority. So we have beautiful visibility from literally what batch of seeds that we send pre-seeded to your teams to when you're harvesting. The units, as Brian and Chef Nick mentioned, they're definitely designed for front of house applications. So For a lot of our clients, they're in the lobbies. As Brian mentioned, it was right behind, the reception desk when you first walked in. Gorgeous focal points, very easy to harvest. Like the chef Nick had mentioned, you just go in there and clip what you need. As you can see in this video, Meredith's going to clip, the basil, compost the roots. I mean, super easy. Pop the trays in the dishwasher. Minimal time investment on that side. All right. Now, so keep in mind, the beauty of the partnership is, as Nick and Brian had mentioned, we provide everything to successfully launch the partnership. So with the equipment, you purchase the equipment, our subscription service literally covers everything. So they mentioned Karen a couple times. That is their dedicated Babylon account manager. So we hold the client's team's hand every step of the way, from onboarding, training you on the app, getting you on a growing cadence that's impactful, because we have some partners where they want this for engagement. Chef mentioned that team members actually help manage the farm. So with our all-inclusive subscription experience, that covers everything. It also covers marketing content, ESG reports, which I'll show you in just a little bit. So keep in mind, a lot of our clients, they want farm to table, they want farm to fork, they want on-site growing, local sourced. This is the program to accomplish that goal in the most easy way possible. So diving into some fun case uses here. So obviously, you heard a little bit from the U.S. Olympic team. This is one of our other amazing partners, MSC Cruise Lines. So how can you source locally? Through Babylon Microfarms, having your own farms on site in the middle of the ocean. They had some amazing goals around sustainability, self-sufficiency. This was our first ship with them. They have 5 of our units, 3 are front of house in their garden kitchen concept, 2 downstairs back of house, and they're fully self-sufficient with all the microgreens that they're serving to their guests at Garden Kitchen. You can kind of see in the bottom left-hand corner, we branded their microfarms to feature the Garden Kitchen logo and concept. So these are beautiful vehicles for storytelling, for guest engagement, the highest quality ingredients possible. So for a lot of my workplace experience folks, and even, Chef Nick mentioned too, team building opportunities. A lot of our clients, you can see Dominion Energy in the top left picture. This is featured in multiple cafes that they have. Bottom right corner is Fidelity Insurance. So for a lot of our workplace experience partners, they're looking for ways to promote employee health and wellness, enhance sustainability, provide more local sourcing in an ethical way. But keep in mind, amazing opportunities for team building. We have clients that literally will give the employees the produce to take home. Obviously, you've already heard from the U.S. Olympic team, so I don't really need to speak to their story. We've already kind of heard a little bit about that. But keep in mind, year-round fresh sustainable produce from herbs, edible flowers, microgreens. We typically leave roughly 50 different items for you to select from. If you do want to be guinea pigs, we're actually testing some tomatoes and Cosmo peppers in our farms right now. You do kind of have to pretend to be bees and pollinate the plants. But our goal is to provide the most optimal produce that you're going to see the most return on investment on. And keep in mind, with our subscription service, essentially your menu lives within your app. So every 6 weeks, you're getting your Babylon box of everything you need to successfully operate the program. Now, one thing that I know, Nick and Brian both mentioned was, Olympians, athletes, I mean, the bar is pretty high when it comes to nutrition, health, and wellness. With our farms, there's no herbicides, there's no pesticides. We've had our produce lab tested, so you can share to your team as your guest. What we're providing to you is the highest bar possible, and the nutritional value is higher than what you would receive from, traditional supply chain. Now, as your wheels are turning about potential locations, whether it be for your sports arena, for workplace, your corporate offices, universities, I would be delighted to do virtual site visits to help you kind of identify what's going to be most optimal. Because keep in mind, these are definitely designed for front of house applications. There are a few things that Babylon and our technicians need when we come to do the installation of the equipment. So since we're dosing the water and the nutrients, pH, all that good stuff, we do need a 1/4-inch flexible cold water line. Ideally an Ethernet connection, because we're monitoring your farms. And then part of the food safety protocols is a deep clean every 2 to 3 months. So we need an avenue to drain the farm within about 50 feet. And then lastly, we do want to make sure your farm is going to be in pristine condition. So part of our onboarding process is doing a water testing to ensure, is there RO needed, things like that. And then our technicians would come to do the installation of the equipment. And then we provide some hands-on training while we're there. So If you have questions about your location, you want to do virtual site visits, just shoot me an email and I'm delighted to do that with you. Perfect. Well, thank you all again for taking the time today, and I look forward to connecting soon.